Hello, Grace Congregational United Church of Christ. I hope everyone is feeling well today in their mind, body, and their spirit. I thank you very much for tuning in to this week's Midweek Connection. Remember, the Midweek Connection is about the stories of grace. Listen to the lyrics. Tell me the stories of grace. I love to hear things I will want you to tell me while I am here. Scenes of your church life, things you have seen, stories of grace, share them with me. And oh, let me hear how these walls had shouts of praise. Tell me also of the tears that here have been laid. How has God challenged? How were you restored? Tell me the divine powers coming through these doors. Today, my guest is Mary Crowley, and she comes to tell me the stories of grace and to also share how the tears here have been laid. In any church, there's always, it's just like in any family, there's always stories of grief. There's always stories of the shedding of tears. And any time you've had a pastor that was here for 15 years, and you all were blessed to have not only one, but two, John and Tracy Weatherhog. 15 years, they were your pastors and they guided you through the seasons of life. The seasons of life, from birth to death and doubt. Yes, there were some tears that were laid. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you, Alberta. I'm happy to be here.
I am so glad that you are here today.
I've never been a guest. I had my television show, the art show, and then Zing, but I was never a guest.
I'm glad that you are a guest today, but you're not really a guest. This is your church.
Yes.
This is your church.
Yes.
This is place where you have been formed and reformed.
Yes.
This is where you connect with people. This
And
is
where I went away for 2 years and then came back.
Yes. And returned.
And returned.
That's the mark of engagement and belongingness.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Mary, tell me what it means to belong, the sense of belongingness to Grace Congregational Church.
It means a certain harmony. It means community. It means growing in the faith. But last August, after my husband died, within 2 weeks, there was a meeting after church, and I was surprised, and others were too, that John and Tracy Weatherhog were going to be leaving.
Yes.
And this was devastating. I lost my husband, and then I lost my ministers, whom I was close to.
Yes.
We were close to.
Yes.
Art and I were.
Yes.
And so they were not there, although they came back for his funeral, and they were wonderful. But I'm not alone. There is a feeling among some of the members and people who come regularly who aren't members, a feeling of distress, anguish, puzzlement, confusion, anger, sadness.
And those are all normal feelings.
Yes, they are, but they haven't been expressed.
And that's how come we have this medium here. Yes. Because during the intentional interim time, that's the time that we have to reveal and unveil the emotions behind the years, the emotions behind what has recently happened. I was just reminded that we are approaching the first year anniversary without the Weatherhogs.
You're right.
I was reminded of that. I can only imagine that there are many people who are remembering what happened last year this time.
There are quite a number of people who loved John and Tracy's ministry or loved them as a family.
Yes.
Some of them have left Grace Church. Some of us are still here. And many of us, not many, there is a group, I don't know how many,
Yeah.
who want to share their stories.
Yes. And you are the first one to come to say, I want to share my story.
You've heard it.
I want to share
You've
my
gotten
story.
so many emails, some in,
Yes.
some in
But
uppercase,
Mary-
some in lowercase.
But Mary, now it's time for you to share your story as one who belong and is in belongingness to the church so that others know that this is a safe time and a safe place to share so that we can be in the process of hearing from God so that we can be ready to act on what God would have us to act when it is time to start dreaming about the future of grace.
Yes.
But before we can get to dreaming about the future of
Before
grace,
forgiveness, there may be anger or some other emotion.
but now I want you to talk about yourself. I want you to share your feelings.
I
want you
grieve the loss of my husband, and I also grieve the loss of Tracy and John. They were a part of my life, particularly Tracy, because she encouraged art activities.
Yeah. Tell
so-
me about the art activities.
Well, Vacation Bible School, the big around the table with Jesus hanging that maybe in Fellowship Hall or maybe in the attic, I don't know. Selling Peter Cooper's artwork after church 2 or 3 times after he died, and the proceeds all going to the church. The Chaffee Art Center connected. Artists in Our Midst, a show after church. Everything from embroidery to painting to photography and crafts. And just, there's a bulletin board on the way into this lounge, and it looks like the devil. That's an expression from somewhere. Anyway, a group of us, we were the art and aesthetics group. We got together and tried to have a nice bulletin board. It isn't now. I mean,
Yes.
things have been pinned on top of it,
Yeah.
and the whole room needs attention in terms of
Yeah.
aesthetics.
Yeah.
But it's not just that. Tracy talked to me before the first service called Light in the Darkness. And I think it was the Tuesday before Christmas the first time. And it was in the chapel, and it was no music, and it was low lights, and there were 4 opportunities to read from the Bible. And then at the end, we could light a candle in memory of somebody. And then, so that became my service. I think I helped her plan the first one. Maybe she had it all planned. I don't know. But it was my service. And very few came to it. There were people who were grieving, or people who feel as I do, that Christmas needs to be a faith celebration, not a secular celebration with all kinds of things.
Grief is so hard for people.
Yes.
And everyone can't even identify what the heart says when it is hurting and aching and grieving.
And there are different
is
kinds
not
of grieving,
easy.
I know that.
It is not easy at all.
No.
So I do want to tell you that it's very courageous. It takes courage to come
I don't
forward.
feel courageous, I
and
just
say,
feel I'm doing what I have to do.
I know you don't feel courageous,
No.
but I want you to receive
Thank you.
that acclamation that you are courage, you
Thank
are
you.
courageous, and hopefully you will be an example for others to come forward, whether they're going to be on
I
the
hope so.
midweek connection or not, but to make sure that it's not forgotten that grief is a part of the intentional intro process.
Okay.
That's the first part of the process,
Good.
but you can name it,
Applause.
and it has to be named. So
Yes.
you are naming the grief.
I am happy that you were saying what you're saying, Alberta.
Well, thank you. Well, thank you. But I am saying what I'm saying because this church belongs to the people.
Yes.
It
Yes.
doesn't. It belongs to the people.
To all the people.
It belongs to
The
all
members,
the
the
people.
non-members,
It belongs to the
people who come.
Yes. So, and it's very important that everybody knows their voice is important.
Right.
Whether they have glowing things to say about their time here at the church, or whether the hurt is so deep right now that what they're needing to say is, I'm hurting.
Yes.
I am missing
That's why I'm here.
my ministers. They were helpful to me throughout the seasons of my life, and I'm grieving their loss.
They were here when Andy Crowley died, Art's son died. They were here when Art died. And they were here for me afterward. They came for the funeral. And then on the anniversary of Art's death, August 18th, they got in touch with me.
Isn't that wonderful?
It is. I mean,
Yes.
that's amazing.
Yes, that's wonderful. That to me says that God was still providing you what you needed. Even though that they may not physically now be a part of the church,
Right.
but their heart ties are still here. They don't go away just because they're not here. Their heart ties are still here.
Yes, I suppose it's like my cousins who live in Pennsylvania and New Jersey and Maryland?
Mm.
I don't know. We started off with 5 cousins, okay?
Mhm.
And then it got to be 15 because Molly likes to entertain, and then it was, I don't know,
Mhm.
30, and then she had the men for dinner on Saturday night, so. Anyway, that's,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see them, and I'm semi-connected, but Molly has had us together once a year, but not this year, of
Yeah.
course.
Yeah. Well, I definitely
But I see what
I
you mean.
definitely couldn't be talking to an artist without sharing her art.
Okay.
Without sharing her art. Mary,
Well,
Talk
that's not
about
really my art. That's feeling. That's just what I did this morning with the color that I thought was appropriate because that's,
why
That
was the
gets
color appropriate?
I don't know why. I have no idea.
Okay. Well, tell me about the feeling.
The feeling is, things are out of control. They're just,
Okay.
and I have a deep feeling of loss. That's what it is.
Okay. All right.
It's hard to verbalize something.
Yeah.
It's
Of
easier to
course.
do that
Exactly.
because that gets it.
Exactly. But these are the gifts that God has given you
That's right.
to how to communicate, your feelings and how to communicate with others.
Yes.
So it's only right that I share the way in which
That's
God
right.
communicates with you.
Right.
So yes, but you still have a sense of hopefulness,
I do.
and then you also shared
That's
this.
upside down.
You also shared this.
Yes.
Tell about this.
Well, it's my great hope that at some point you will facilitate reconciliation between the group that were happy to see John and Tracy leave and the group that were unhappy.
Mm-hmm.
And so there would be then a calm.
Ah, wow. And one of the words that you have brought to today was hope.
Hope. I did that months ago.
Hope.
Maybe even before the pandemic.
Yeah.
Faith, hope, and love.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hope.
But what that
My hope
says
for
to
the
me,
church.
that you are a person who has committed to go through the
Absolutely.
process.
Yes.
That
Have to.
becomes very important
Yes.
because going through means that you get to the other side of hope and joy.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yes.
Outside the lines. You
Yes.
notice?
Yes. Yes. Joy
It's-
can be outside the lines.
Exactly. In
Yes.
first grade, I didn't want to color in
Oh.
inside the line.
There has to be some people that color outside the lines.
Yes.
That
I
what
know.
makes life interesting.
Right.
Oh, Mary. Now, if you had just a message, what's the word that you're wanting to leave today for the people of Grace Congregational?
The
What-
word is what I felt in a chapel from a priory, a monastery in France.
Uh-huh.
It's in the Worcester Art Museum. And I walked into the room And I felt a feeling I've never felt before or after. And from this monastery room, I'm getting the shivers. In this monastery room, I had no expectations. I read what it said, and I walked in, and I felt something, I don't know, embracing me. And I guess it was love. I mean, I can't give it words, but it's something, and I just hope that the people of grace will experience the Holy Spirit, the spirit of reconciliation, coming together, being willing to listen, not forge ahead, not stuffing down the feelings, but forging ahead so that we can be a united church and welcome new people too, because as you see, the seats aren't all full.
Oh, Mary, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That is truly a message that everyone, regardless of which side of the fence, so to speak, they may sit on, can relate to.
Yes.
It's about unity. It's about understanding that it is a process that we will go through during my tenure. And then the goal of the process is for unification,
Yes.
reconciliation,
Yes.
and to be able to dream the dreams that God gives anew to what life would be at Grace.
And to be able to agree to disagree.
Oh,
So that
isn't that wonderful?
Yes, that's what I would like.
Yes.
So if we're aware of something that's being proposed, maybe those who are the power structure of the church want to communicate with us.
Yeah. Consensus building is
Yes,
a
that's
hard
it.
task.
That's it.
It's a hard task.
Right.
But
I'm sure
we're
it is.
people of faith.
Yes.
There's nothing too hard for us.
No. The Red Sea Party.
Yeah. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Grace Congregational Church, United Church of Christ. Thank you for being such people that you know how important it is to connect and engage, and you truly know the importance of belongingness. God bless you, and God keep you. And remember, tell me the stories